Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So Patty Castaneda. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I mention that we actually have like a deeper history than Mexico City?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we were both at a comedy show here, and
We're in Mexico City.
we're in Mexico City.
2024.
Yes, the date is
It was
April
20th-ish.
28th-ish or something. No, like I don't know, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago or something. We were on a comedy show together. In WhatsApp, I think your name is just Patty Creates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I've only really known one other Patty in my entire life, and it was a similar sounding kind of handle or whatever, and I remember it was like, oh, it was Patty Castaneda from GChat, because this is like when GChat was a thing. So anyway, we're at this comedy show, but I mean, that was in San Francisco, and now, I'm in Mexico City, and you come up and you're like, are you Eric? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, I think it was like 2013, 2012. But essentially, I saw his name in a group chat, and I was like, that name sounds really familiar. And I was like, where does that name sound familiar from? And I was like, then I saw a photo of him. I'm like, I think that's the guy I went on a Tinder date back in 2010. OkCupid. I think it was pre-Tinder.
Like, did we? Yeah, I think if it's 2010, it was pre-Tinder, but it wasn't like we met organically. It was an online.
Yeah, I think it was online.
Okay.
I was like very young, and I was like, oh my God, online dating's so fun.
Uh-huh.
Now it's terrible.
In other words, how many likes and matches does the average user get? And now we can see the average male user only receives 1 like and 0 matches. If you look at the average number of likes for different attractiveness scores, we see that the top 10% of male users get 37 likes on average, whereas the average users get somewhere between 0 and 1 like. And if you look at the average number of matches, something interesting happens. The top 10% of men actually get more matches than the top 10% of women. They get fewer likes, but because they're less selective than women, they actually manage to get more matches.
I think the reason why I remember your name so vividly was because I used to work for SF Fun Cheap, or Fun Cheap SF.
Yeah.
And I did writing there, and I was always looking for events.
Yeah.
And you always did these free comedy shows, or
Yes.
like $5 comedy shows.
Yeah.
So I just kept seeing your name everywhere, and I was like, oh, that guy I went on a date with. But I, for the life of me, do not remember anything about the date.
Yeah.
I just remember the name more so than the date.
So you tell me this at our comedy show, and I was like so caught off guard,
I was like, hey, you!
Yeah.
I was like, what's up?
And because before you even like revealed that, you're like, are you Eric? And like as soon as a random woman says that to me, I'm like, oh God, like what did I do? And then you're like, yeah, we went on a date. And then I was like, oh God, what did I do? And then like, but I mean, again, contextually, I'm thinking like, well, I'm in Mexico City. I'm like, and I'd only been there. I'm still new. Like, it's like, I don't think I had any like blacked out date nights or anything. And then you're like, no, from San Francisco. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then while everyone was like preparing for their set, which I should have been doing, I was like furiously like going through my like all the like GChat history and stuff, being like, what happened? Hey, what happened? What was this or whatever? And from what I can assess, we went on one date.
Where did we go?
I can't tell you. I could tell you if I looked it up. But I believe it was in Lower Haight. I think we may have met at Knock Knock.
Okay, a bar.
Yeah, in Lower Haight.
Okay.
And you had some event, like work event or something, and you were like drunk, and then you're like, okay, I'm down to meet. We like tried to meet up several times, and then
So
I had
showed up drunk on the first date.
I don't know, but then like
sounds like me.
And then like I would have comedy events, and I would be like, I'll message you, like and you didn't want to come to the show, so it was like, okay, so I'd message you at like 11:15 at night, like, hey, I'm free, and you're like, I think at one point you're like, I don't want to talk to a guy who messages me at 11:15 at night, and it's like, you could have come to the show, but like I just got out of the show. I think we went on one date, and I do think we kissed, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds really bitchy of me.
No, it was, whatever.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we would be podcasting 12 years later?
In Mexico City.
Yeah, in Mexico City. But happy to have you here. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So what's been new?
What have you been up to?
Yeah. No, but that's a crazy. I think I told you, and I think you and your friend got offended. I didn't say like the top one. That's like top 2 craziest sightings later in life for me.
All right. What's your first one? Not as good.
The other one is the time the best friend of the bouncer at the comedy show I probably was performing at, who's a big jujitsu guy, came to my house for a house party. His name's Ben Eddy, and he's he's jujitsu famous. He invented a move called the Hindu Latin. I will probably splice in a video of that right here.
Ben Eddy's super flexible with his wild guard. And I was just looking at this new move that he was doing where he's got this rubber guard, new choke. And I was analyzing this. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, how many people can move their legs like that? How flexible is he? How much dexterity does he have in his legs? The way he's applying pressure. I'm like, can my fat ass do that? I'm looking at how he's doing it. I'm like, can I do that? Or is this out of my league? Is this one of them? There's some crazy flexibility moves that you have to be a pretzel to use.
I was in Koh Tao, Thailand, in a tiny island in a craft beer shop. And the island has, I don't know, something like less than 3,000 people, and I see this very specific long mustache, which is very much like Ben Eddy's style, and this is
handlebar,
giant handlebar. And this is 7 years after I had seen him. I'm like, are you Ben Eddy? And I did the thing, I looked on my phone on Facebook because we're friends, and he's like, yeah, are you Eric Berry? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And so that just because of the distance and the location where we were, which is this tiny fucking island in Thailand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ran into him.
That's still second.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure. He is not actually. He was going to podcast with me, but he has not. So yeah, maybe you take the top slot now.
Yeah.
Top slot right here.
Top slot. What it was, I saw you in a group photo, and I was like. Because at the end of a show, the comedians take a group photo.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And I immediately saw you. Then I, searched Gchat.
And you're like, he hasn't aged a bit. He looks exactly like I remember.
Yeah, the fountain of youth did good on him.
Uh-huh.
I immediately messaged one of my other comedian friends. I was like, oh my God, do you know this guy? you're in a group photo with him.
Who did you message?
Steven Steers.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, don't tell him. This is hilarious.
Steven was holding on to that the whole time.
I mean, Steven's not gonna. I mean, Steven doesn't care.
Yeah.
But later on, once I chatted with you, I told Steven, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I told him.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. But you never know how someone's gonna respond to that. Someone could be like, who the fuck is this crazy bitch? Or they could be like,
well, it would be funny if it wasn't me and you were so convinced. I'm like, sorry, different person. Yeah.
Well, my first question was did he live in San Francisco before?
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, then I kind of continued.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my WhatsApp picture, I just changed it yesterday, but it was the painted ladies behind me. And then what inspired you to start doing stand-up? Did you always been wanting to do something like that?
So I've always wanted to. And when I was, it was 2021 during COVID, and I was in Playa del Carmen. There was the first ever open mic, and I was actually dating a comedian beforehand during that time frame.
Do I know the comedian?
I'm not gonna say his name.
There's not that many in English in Playa del Carmen.
I mean, he actually wasn't in Playa del Carmen, but he came to Playa del Carmen because I invited him.
Yeah.
So, but that was the only place in the world where there was stand-up comedy during that time frame. So he kind of ended up getting to know that area because of that.
Well, wait, that was the only area where there was stand-up comedy because they just didn't give a shit about regulations there. You could still do shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that whole area did close down for a while, but then it opened up relatively faster than the rest of the world. The borders never closed, so it was just super easy to go to a club.
Yeah.
Get bottle service. Go to like see go-go dancers. You know, like it was
Yeah.
just full on.
Yeah.
And comedy shows was one of the things. So yeah, the person I dated, we were on good terms for a while, but then it didn't, it wasn't afterwards. So I just won't say his name.
So you got into stand-up comedy to spite him?
Probably to do better shows. No.
That-
I got in comedy because I was like, honestly, I was like, if he could do it, I could do it.
No, that's what I mean. Like you were.
It's not spiting, but it was really like, oh, is that all you do? You just write jokes and go on stage and say them?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Do you think you're better than he is?
He's more practiced than I am.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be this comparing game.
Does he know that you're doing stand-up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we perform together. In more ways than one.
Hey.
Hey.
And we're back.
We've
We had some
had.
technical difficulties. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We've only recorded like 12 minutes, but
My only thing I really need to do today is buy some party favors for
Yeah.
tomorrow.
yeah, some hats and kazoos.
Zoos all day.
I think we forgot to introduce our special guest.
Anna.
This is Anna.
This is Anna, my beautiful doggie. She is a rescue. She's Mexican. And very fun fact, her sister is still in the shelter. And she just got adopted this week. So she has to be flown to Canada for her adopted parents to receive her. I may actually try to fly her if I can, her sister. We're going to see what I can do. But if not, if anybody wants to go to Vancouver, take a dog, do a good deed.
So the shelter is in Vancouver?
No, the shelter is Mexico City.
So
But they export their doggies.
so this is like when white people buy like a Chinese kid for a lot of money. And,
Yeah,
like,
literally. Yeah,
There's not dog shelters in Canada.
That's
that,
what
like,
I
would
asked,
need? Like,
but-
that's insane.
They want the little like Mexican flavor doggy, you know?
Yeah.
My dog is very like mellow and like chill. She got the bed dirty. I'm sorry.
Happens every time someone's like, I'll bring a dog over. They're fine. There won't be an issue. Da 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 da.
But yeah, it was raining, so she was kind of muddy, and I didn't clean her up enough. It was human error. It was not her. But that bed is dirtier than what she had put in there.
What are you talking about? Those are fresh. Those are freshly cleaned blankets.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you have a lot of peras in here making that shit dirty.
I do.
Tarantan.
Isn't it perras?
I said peras.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you were talking about your.
Check this out. It's a
your-
Hobbit cup. Oh, and it has Monster and vodka.
You're talking about your starting comedy and your ex, and you guys perform together, and you're on good terms until something happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I know that we ended it. We kind of hung out for about a year over the course of everything.
Like post breakup.
No, like the whole like from
Relationship.
relationship. It wasn't really serious until the last 6 months. The first 6 months was just whatever. And when we ended it, we kept talking. Like we talked for another 6 months. It was normal. Like when I was having issues, he'd call me, or I'd call him, and he'd call me, vice versa. One day he didn't have me on Instagram. And I was like, you removed me from Instagram, you dumb bitch. And I called him out. And he was like, oh, long story. I was like, I have time. And we never talked since then. He didn't respond. But I know probably what it is. It's obviously he's dating someone new. There must have been either a conversation about me or a different ex, whatever it is. And then they were just like, maybe let's not talk to exes.
Yeah.
So it's I don't think it was vindictive. It's more so of like him keeping whatever his peace is in his world.
Mm-hmm.
If I see him, I'll be like, bitch, I make a shit ton of money. Where's yours? That's all I want to say.
It's tough.
I
though,
got
like,
it going on.
Even
It's so sad. It's so fucking bitter.
even if like there isn't someone new, I'm kind of in the middle of this right now. Like it's hard. It's nothing against the other person. It's just hard to move on from someone else when you're like constantly bombarded with like what's going on in their life, and like they're like reminders of like the good times and what you could have or did have. You know what I mean? And like sometimes just like emotionally, at least for some amount of time, it's like you have to create some distance to.
Yeah, you know what's the wildest thing? I think of the people that I've dated, the ones that I've ended it with, I ended it with him. But there's a handful of others, or I'm the one that ended it because I'm like, it's not, it's not going to work out. Those are the ones I always want back in some sense of way because I'm like, it wasn't that bad. Why did I end it? But then I was just like, okay, I know why. It's more so just maybe kind of weak and being like, oh, and it's hard. Like I don't know, clean cuts are better. I don't like seeing people's lives on Instagram either.
Take three. Take three. Here we go. Forgot to put the batteries in. The new batteries in the recorder. Okay. Clean breaks are the best.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't like following a lot of people on social media. I don't really care to see what people are doing on their day to day. I do like being connected, but if I met you traveling, like, I probably muted you, and like I only like kind of like watching people who I want to see what they're doing to be like, oh, that's a cool party. I want to go to that.
Yeah,
something of that nature.
I love like staying connected with people I met traveling because like there's people who like Ben Eddy in Koh Tao, Thailand. Like if we weren't, I know it's like Facebook, but if we weren't Facebook friends, like I wouldn't have known that was him necessarily 12 years later or 7 years, whatever.
Yeah, I had to look at G-Chat.
Yeah, so I like having those little records and then I have people who I've met for one night traveling. We had like an amazing night, and even if we don't talk, I've had it happen where like 3 years later, what, you're in Berlin, I'm in Berlin, and we connect, and it's like right back to where we were. So like I don't know, I think I have a problem letting go, and so I like having some emotional finger in the pies of everyone I meet.
Finger in the pies of everyone you meet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess for me, it's like I want to be connected digitally, but I don't need to see her day to day.
Okay,
that's what it is. Okay, so found out during a Zoom call that I was, I guess, technically the other one potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know what seriousness they were.
Can you do me a favor and just talk into the mic?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So.
But then cackle away from the mic.
Cackle. Oh. Should I do that?
Yeah, that's good. Have some more vodka.
I have the most obnoxious laugh. Do you guys want to hear my laugh? All right.
Out away from the mic. Away from the mic.
No, into the mic. I want him during
the. No, you're gonna blow. That's probably why that mic didn't work in the first place.
When he's editing this, he's gonna have to fucking, take care of his ears.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little laugh.
Mm-hmm.
My laugh is like.
Your laugh is. What's that Mexican thing called?
Mariachi.
No, that. Yeah.
That's kind of my laugh. And I think the best thing I've heard my laugh be called. I got a lot of things like pterodactyl, peacock, mariachi, but the best one was like, like Mario, Mario Luigi, and Mario.
Woohoo!
Yeah, but Mario having an orgasm, like ah. That's by far the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is not the first time during a work meeting I was the other woman, which is wild.
You're a little homewrecker.
Unknowingly. I think I'm just so fucking naive and stupid that it's just so obvious. They both have the same patterns.
Which is what? Tell us what the patterns
are. They didn't want to stay the night.
Okay.
And I think that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons they put out.
There's this stereotype, though, of guys not wanting to stay the night, or not wanting the girl to stay the night.
Okay, rule number 2, spending the night is optional.
Well, now we're getting somewhere.
Which I never got, because I think, cuddling is, my favorite thing afterwards. Also, I don't want to go home at fucking 3 a.m.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired. I'm knocked out.
Yeah.
I mean, the morning sucks leaving.
Yeah.
The other thing is, since I've gotten my dog, I don't I don't really like stay at other people's homes.
Well, no, you got to be
Like-
responsible. You
Well,
gotta,
like usually I feel like now it's more so like my house is where we go.
yeah.
It's easier.
I prefer, well, yeah, I don't like the commute, but I also prefer to be at my house just because I know what everything is. I know what alcohol I have. I know what lube I have. I know, you know what I mean? Like,
Your whole collection.
Listen, I got vibrators for the ladies.
That's disgusting.
Why is that disgusting?
I don't want to be using no vibrator I was using on another woman.
But you'd use a dick that's been used on other women?
Yeah.
What's the fuck? You're not going to catch HIV from a fucking vibrator, especially if it's been cleaned. Which I do. Which, by the way, I paid for my house cleaner to come here, and I forgot that there's a vibrator under the bed. And then when I came back, she had cleaned the vibrator and left it on top of a chair. Yeah, she's really good. Her name's Rosa. If anyone's looking for a very thorough house cleaner,
I always make sure to hide my stuff before my cleaner comes.
I hadn't
You forgot.
taken it out in a while. It needs to be charged.
But that's wild. Like, honestly, if I went to a guy's house and they're like, "Hey, do you want to use this toy? Can I use this toy on you?" I'd be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
You're so much worse off having his fucking dirt under his fingernails go inside of you than you are having a fuck. First of all, how about some props for caring about ladies? You know how many guys are like, "Oh, I don't need a fucking vibrator in the fucking room. My fucking dick goes 180 RPM." Like, ugh.
That's nice.
I'm here to support the ladies in a sex positive way. I got a variety of toys.
I feel like honestly, like I'm very conservative in certain ways. But if
Not from what we've heard not from our conversation this afternoon so far.
I'm weird. I'm conservative and not.
Yeah. In which ways are you conservative?
Like if I went to a guy's house and they had fucking vibrators out, I'd be like, "Oh God, what the fuck am I doing here?"
Right.
I'd be like, "What is going on?"
But
Are we doing a standing thing now? Now
no.
we're standing. Oh, he's bringing it
Here,
out.
do you want to touch it?
Disgusting.
Why is this? Come on.
Off camera.
It needs to be charged.
That is-
It needs to be charged, but
Anna doesn't like it either.
well, Anna's stewing in a lot worse than that.
Anna does not approve. So if you just came back from our commercial break, I was just attacked with a dildo that's been used on probably 20 women, if not
Attacked
more.
with pleasure. Attacked with pleasure.
He literally threw it at me.
Yeah, and someone's good at catching dicks. It's her.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So that was your grand story. That was your 90-second.
That was just recent. I'm bitter about it.
No,
What the
I
fuck
know,
is
but that was, you're like, to make a long story short, I'm like, that's not what you want to do on it. I'm like, no, give us the juicy details.
Okay,
of
should I
everything.
can I give you a better story?
No, I think we're fine.
Fuck your story.
Fine. What's your better
yeah,
story?
Maybe too much vodka. Huh?
What's your better story?
Also, you were saying that I came in drunk, and
This podcast has definitely refuted that being a possibility.
yeah,
I've had nothing to drink. I'll let you know.
bottoms up, bitch. No, I honestly like. Okay, now in retrospect, like I'm drinking now, but I'm also on a podcast trying to trying to make sure that like I don't get attacked by another dildo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the alcohol makes you limber and loose,
Yeah.
more receptive to the dildo.
Exactly. But so essentially, when I was younger, when I was like 20-ish, that kind of college phase, I realized how bad of a drinking problem I had.
Mm.
And for you saying that I showed up kind of drunk at our first meeting, I'm like, oh my God. Not a surprise.
I don't think you got wasted before for the purpose of. I don't even think you were wasted. I think it was just like you had an event prior and you weren't going. I wasn't high quality enough for you to commit like an 8 p.m. on a Thursday to me. It was like, I'll let you know if I feel like continuing the night after I already do whatever I actually want to do.
That's hilarious. Damn, I sound like a bitchy girl.
I mean, I get it. Like I know like there's prioritizations with like the online dating of like, okay, this person like I'll give a Thursday, Friday to, but if this like hotter person like all of a sudden becomes free, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my sister's in town and I can't hang out tonight. Sorry. Like I've seen that happen so many times, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Online dating was back then. It was awesome because people who wanted to be on those apps were on those apps, and it supplemented the real life. You could do real life and you could do dating. Now, like online dating. Now everyone's on those apps and they don't want to be on those apps. So from the guy's perspective with women, it's like 95% are like, I don't check this off and follow me on Instagram, and they just want to get Instagram followers, or they don't respond, or they just want the affirmation of getting likes and having a conversation, but they don't actually want to meet in real life. And so it's actually made dating way less efficient because you're just in this fantasy online world. Or like, I want to get to know you first, I don't want to meet you. And it's like, you're not getting to know me then. You're getting to know this like idealized, I can write whatever the fuck I want. And you can do that for 2 months, and then you show up, and in 5 minutes you're like, I don't like their smell, you know? And it's just, I don't know. I try to meet people as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree. The meeting people ASAP is best because that's when you know if you have chemistry or not.
Yeah.
But I do think that everything you said makes sense with like the trajectory of online dating. And I think there is kind of a natural progression where people want to go back to like in-person dating and approaching. But I do find that the ones that are actually the ones approaching females at the club, they're the ones that are players, and they have the confidence to be able to approach. And then the ones that are, you know, the ones that you maybe like want long-term. I'm looking for long-term. That's kind of more my vibe. That's, you know, I don't like dating around as much, but like the ones that are long-termers get shy to go approach women.
Right.
So
But
it's
this
kind
is
of,
where,
it's
this
like
is,
a weird.
but this is like the constant complaint I hear from women, but they're not willing to like shift the paradigm where it's like, you approach guys, you talk to guys. Like, I don't want that. I want them to come to talk to me, but the ones who talk to me, I don't want to talk to me. And it's like, well, you can't. You either got to take all 10, and even though you only want one, and like accept that 9 dogs are going to talk to you, or you have to be the one to take the initiative, because you can't just say, well, I only want the ones who I want to talk to me. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly,
like, it doesn't work that way.
Honestly, the moment someone talks to me, I'm just like, I'm just like, ugh.
Like, you're turned off by them talking to you? Well, see, this is a catch-22.
It's so
You
fucked
don't.
up.
You
I'm
can't.
like, I want them to talk to me, and then the moment they talk to me, I'm just like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But you know, that's trauma. That's trauma being triggered.
Do you want to talk about it?
And trauma.
We can save it for another podcast.
We'll save it for another day.
Okay.
My trauma.
Although there was not a grandiose, coherent story here, I feel like there's a lot of stuff we've talked about that I will be able to edit into a very fun, dating-centric podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we done now, or?
I feel like these are short episodes. I feel like we got something to work with. How are you feeling?
All right. I'm trying to think of. Okay, there was one other story I wanted to share. Let's see. I mean, I guess we have something.
I think there's a lot. I think there was laughs. There was a dog. There was a vibrator. I mean, what more could you ask for in a podcast? You know, sugar-free Monster with vodka.
If you went home and the guy pulls out a dildo.
First of all, do you own a vibrator? You don't, do you? Because you don't know the difference between a dildo and a vibrator.
I know the difference.
Well, that's not a dildo. That's a vibrator.
That's a goddamn rabbit.
It's not. No, that's actually was bought from Walmart.com. That's not fancy enough.
The low quality knockoff rabbit. That's a hair.
Hair sounds fancier than rabbit to me. Hair sounds very
hair
British.
sounds like you gotta fucking shave that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on shaving?
It's like for guys or girls?
Either way.
All around. It's a necessary evil. Sometimes you go without because you go without even showing it, but you kind of gotta keep it together.
I just don't want to floss with hair. You know what I mean? I think it's like,
What do you want to floss with? A G-string?
I got my whatever
Your
it's called.
dental kit.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's courteous for the other person to be maintained down there, you know?
It is courteous. And it's also like just cleanlier.
I don't know if it's like actually like scientifically cleaner, because like they argue like there's like good pheromones and stuff that gets trapped there and whatever. I don't know. But also like especially if you're a lady and you want a guy to like know what he's doing there, not obstructing the target with a bunch of bush, you know, also helps out. Like I think it's very feminist to shave that pussy.
So it's like give them a machete and go to the jungle situation.
Kinda, yeah. You got to get through
Yeah.
the thicket. You know what I mean?
You gotta pre-machete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how like my parents, like their generation, and like looking at old like 70s porn and stuff, like it was just massive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different day and age. I think it's very accessible to find different ways of hair removal. It is funny how females are the ones removing hair. Males paying a lot to add hair to their balding little heads.
Sure,
So we all have
sure.
different concerns.
But I think manscaping is definitely. I mean, there's literally a company called Manscaped. Like, I think you want to sponsor me. I feel like that's. I feel like everybody's manicuring now. You know?
Yeah.
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 But
I think it's necessary.
Patty,
I think we're done now.
thanks for
Yeah.
coming on the show. If people want to follow you, find you in the world, where can they do that?
So I'm Patty Creates.
Patty Creates, she said.
Creates.
Yeah.
Like creative.
Cool.
Yeah.
Follow me at Eric Berry Comedy. And you can also leave a voicemail at 702 So Dirty. And yeah, until next time, keep it dirty. Thank you, Anna.
Bitch.